evening and welcome to COVID Conversations with me, Carvin Goldstone. So I want to ask a question to everyone who's watching this. What is the point of lockdown level 4 when everyone can just go out and fill the streets and the malls and the beaches as if nothing has happened? So we are all in our houses. We can't go to work. A lot of us can't go to school. But because the lockdown level 4 allows some movement, you've got all these people moving. And not just like in small groups, I'm talking about in masses. Does this not defeat the whole purpose of this lockdown? I want you to have a look at this clip from Durban.
What is that comedy, man?
If coronavirus is such a huge threat, and it is, and it's shown to be around the world, a gathering like this has to be the most dangerous place you could possibly be. You won't just catch COVID-19, you'll catch a few other things. You'll catch influenza. You might even catch just random diseases that we haven't heard of because there's just too many people. But this is the problem with the setup, is that we're all in our houses. It's pent up. We're pent up. We can't wait to get out. But we're not just pent up and can't wait to get out. A lot of us need to get out, need to buy stuff, need to go to the bank, need to collect money from the labor department. Of course, when we open up, this is what's going to happen. And it's interesting because I wonder how it feels when you come back. If you live with somebody who's been in that scrum and now returns home, are you not going to be suspicious of them? Like Vinny is in this clip of Joshua.
You sneezed and coughed 3 times. 3 times.
Hey, bro, who mad you?
It's a new world. We are living in a brand new world. I'm someone who likes to hug, shake hands. Those things are gone. No one will cough the same anyway. I was out the other day and I coughed and I felt as if everyone turned and looked at me. And it was just like a little tickle in my throat. It's just a completely new world. So I've resorted to all my conversations being on the phone if I can help it. Of course, I avoid it if I can because I just don't like talking on the phone. But what's the new thing that everyone's doing is they're video calling you. Now, people that I don't even know that well are video calling me, and it's awkward. I video call my family sometimes. My mother is not the best person to video call because, well, she's awesome to talk to, but she always holds the phone in a weird angle. So you're always looking up at her. So even though I'm a grown man, I'm still a child when I'm talking to my mom. Here's a clip from Carl Weber talking to his uncle Cliffy. And do you have an uncle who has not figured out how to use video calling yet?
Clifford, hello?
Yo, Uncle Cliff.
Hello.
Uncle Cliffy.
Where's the, is it Edgar's?
It's Carl.
Oh, Carl. Oh, yes, we.
Carl from Happy Hour.
Yeah, ek weet it's my nephew, man.
Yes. Uncle Cliffy, this is not a voice call.
It's not a voice call?
It's not a voice call.
So what's it at?
It's a video call.
Vimeo.
Video, not Vimeo.
Oh, video.
Video.
So, okay. No, what no?
Hold the phone back. Look at the
What?
screen. Don't take it away from your ear.
Take
Take it away from your ear. Look at the phone.
I'm looking at the phone.
There we go.
Oh, Daddy. Yeah.
Yes.
What with you?
I'm alright. Sorry I missed your call, man.
Ek het gebel, ek man soek eentjies, man.
Yo, Uncle Cliffy, I almost don't smoke cigarettes anymore, man. What you smoking now?
Caesar, my bro.
And how does that taste?
Soos 'n donkies pantyhose.
Yeah.
Vra vir Dylan man.
Dylan also don't smoke. But I'm gonna find out. I'll see if I can get hold of something.
Ja, met Rotmans, kry van die
I don't
Rotmans.
know. I don't know. Rothman's al
Ja,
klaar.
die rooi pakkie.
Okay.
Dat blue
Nee,
aan my
dat-
by Post trek
white
toe,
label.
né? 'n red white label,
Okay.
né? Jy weet op my condition.
Okay.
Alright.
Okay, Uncle Cliff.
En dan nog 'n ding.
Okay, see you, Uncle
Okay,
Cliff.
wag maar.
See you,
De
bye.
red wat is. As jy dan, hallo. Jy man. Bastard. Okay, bye.
I really feel for people who've had to stop smoking suddenly. I honestly do. And I just want to give you some advice from my childhood. When I was a kid, we lived in Newlands East, and behind our house was a massive bush. And as children, sometimes we'd play in the bush, and you'd sometimes find a twig with a hole through it. And if it's just the sensation of smoke going in and smoke going out, look around you if you can find a twig. It might help you. Now, for those of you missing out on sports, and that's myself included, there's a beautiful series on Netflix called The Last Dance, and it's the story of the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, and it's just the most amazing piece to fit in this gap where we don't have sports. But for those of you who don't like basketball and don't have Netflix and you want a sports fix, here is Dylan Oliphant with the sports.
Since the null and void of the Premier League has upset a few of my brethren, I've got a different solution, my brethren. How about we give a Premier League trophy to every club, my brethren? The world is down and everyone could do with a lift right now, my brethren. Finally, everyone's a winner will mean something, my brethren. Hear me out. Before you call me a socialist as an insult or an agent of the Illuminati, Liverpool fans will still get to win the league. Think about how happy Arsenal fans will be. Do it for Titus Bramble's forgotten dreams. Joey Barton's mood swings. Charlie Adams' corner kicks. Don't be a selfish, brethren. Be like Katie Heron at prom, a true African queen. She knows what Ubuntu means, my brethren. The truth is, when you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression, my brethren. I'm woke, my brethren.
Thank you, Dylan, for the sports, kind of sports. So our big story for today is homeschooling. Something that many of us thought only Amish people did. Now you are finding yourself having to do it. But it's quite frustrating if you've never done it. How many of you have found yourself fighting with your children? Because they just don't seem to understand it the way you understand it. Teaching is a special occupation. There's not many people that can do it. This is me today trying to hold a class in my house with my two children. And I feel for every parent out there who has to go through this, and for every teacher who's going to deal with this when these ones get back.
Don't press too hard. I just got those, please.
Teacher Dad, Jacob touched my mask.
Why you touch the mask?
I never.
There's cake on it, look.
I didn't. I promise I didn't.
Okay, guys, let's do your work, please, huh?
He sings this. I got reading these things.
I also am reading this.
They're too hot, sir. They're too hot, sir.
To take this conversation forward, I have with me some guests. I have Christy Canham, who's been homeschooling for 7 years, Rowena in Abu Dhabi, who is a teacher, but herself has now found herself homeschooling her 4 children. We have Leslie Jasmine, who's a school teacher in Durban. She's going to give us a bit of insight from that perspective. And Clint Grove in the United Kingdom, who is a health coach, and he's going to speak to us a bit about how we look after the health of our children while they're at home. I'm going to start with Christy. Christy, you've been homeschooling for 7 years, something that many of us don't really understand. Maybe just take us into your journey. What made you do it, and what's the last 7 years been like?
Okay, so We decided to start homeschooling, I think, early 2013. We had three kids at the time. One was just a baby. I think we decided to start homeschooling because we wanted to encourage our children to think independently and learn independently. And also, we wanted to take learning on the road, so to speak. We didn't want them in a classroom sitting just learning one way. You know, kids learn differently, all kids learn differently, and we wanted to give them that opportunity. Yeah.
So you one of the parents that's best prepared for this situation because nothing much has changed for you, right?
No, not much has changed. So things still stay the same. They're still learning, they still carry on. The only thing lacking or missing out on, I would say, is they miss their extramural activities, like going out to swimming lessons or ballet, stuff like that.
Okay. Rowena, you are an educator, so you understand the classroom setup, but you've also now found yourself in a situation where you're teaching at home, and it's not exactly the same as Christy, where it was a choice. We kind of have been forced into the situation. How's it been for you?
Hi. I think, for me, it's always a challenge to deal with three children at the same age. I do have triplet boys in kindergarten. And as much as I am an early years teacher, it's been a challenge because it's different teaching your own kids. However, I think having the background of teaching, I'm able to find fun ways to integrate learning and home. And that's been fun.
Can you maybe just take us into some of those fun ways, something that you maybe do that has been fun for you too? Because I know for a lot of us, it's not fun. It's just we have to do it. So parents who are watching can say, okay, I'll try that. If there's anything that you can think of.
I think we also have to remember that this isn't a typical homeschooling situation. And as much as the teachers will prescribe different activities for the students to do, we have to remember that this is different, and we have to look at the objectives of the lesson and then find a way to integrate it into daily life. So, for example, if the activity is about measurement, you simply make some cookies and you use all those objectives in your baking scenario. And it's a lot of fun that way. And you get it done. And you
Wow.
are not going crazy with tired and frustrated kids.
Wow, more dishes. That's all I heard, Rowena. I'm sick of washing dishes. I don't know how many dishes I've washed. this, I don't know. I nearly said holiday. This lockdown, I've watched because it feels like they're on holiday just all the time. So Leslie, I want to bring in Leslie. Leslie's a school teacher. Leslie, this is a new space for you guys because we don't exactly know what to teach them. So we're depending on schools and on the existing teachers to kind of guide us. What's the experience been like for you as a teacher?
It's been really awesome to do things in a new way, to expose our pupils to new things. But with that being said, all things new come with a bit of trial and error, and you've got to back yourself when you fail and just come up with the next best option. And that's okay. And part of learning is that not all things go right. So I think it's really important for parents to understand that as well, is that us as teachers and professionals, we fail too. And we choose the wrong app or the wrong format to send the lesson in. And that's okay, but don't stress. We troubleshoot really fast and we'll fix it.
So I spend most of the day with my son Jacob trying to figure out a test that was sent that wouldn't open on a certain app. And I could see the frustration growing. Have you guys become a little bit more lenient as teachers? Because we always, especially in my age, teachers were always strict and if you didn't do your homework, you didn't do it. Are teachers a bit more lenient now, knowing that everyone's got these challenges and sometimes you yourselves also have it?
I think lenient has a whole new word and definition to it at the moment. I think to put pressure on learners and families at the moment to hand in work is just a whole nother conversation. We're dealing with a lot of situations with data, with um, families of 5, 6, 7 all on one router, on capped Wi-Fi, on one device. So there's no way that you can hand out work and expect it that afternoon. There's no way. You've got to give learners, parents enough time to complete the work, for parents to double check and for it to come back. So we give a week, sometimes two, depending on the task, for it to come back.
Let me just say we have a lot of respect for you, and we've now realized that actually the teacher wasn't the problem. So I just want to ask you, Christy, you've obviously been in this space for a while. How does it work with you? Because now parents like myself have people like Leslie that we can bother if we need to, and ultimately carries the responsibility. But in your case, it's just you and the Department of Education, or how does it work?
No, actually not. Well, in some cases, there are parents who just do it on their own, but we've chosen to use a host academy where we actually get our curriculum from. So we're currently using an American curriculum. So they send us all our workbooks and we report back to them. So that's how
Okay.
we keep track of, yeah. So it puts less pressure on the parents so that everything's done for me. I just have to facilitate and make sure that the learning gets done.
So there's a big conversation happening online about parents who say they're not sending their kids back to school at all this year because they're not sure how it's going to turn out. And of course, there's the issue of school fees, right? Because can you pay school fees for a full year when you don't get, especially if you go to a private school or school with high school fees? But one of the things that you do get from those schools, which you don't get now, is extramural activities. And a lot of schools that offer extramural activities don't offer them anymore. The kids are at home, your kids are at home, my kids are at home. How can we make sure that they're getting a balanced education of not just book knowledge, but also some physical? Clint, I want to bring you in at this point. What would you advise for parents as a health coach? What would you advise that parents do with their kids so that it's exciting for both parties, so that they don't lose a lot of the ground that they've made already with extramurals at school?
Well, it is tricky. My daughter, Sienna, she's the oldest. She's 8 years old. She was doing gymnastics, and obviously that came to an end. And it's tricky I said to her, okay, well, they've got gymnastics classes on YouTube, or at least the school provided some training, like either on PDFs to do this exercise on this day. And it was actually quite tricky to get her to do that. So I do sympathize with parents who may be having this battle with kids. So if you can't, my advice is this, don't push them too hard. If they don't want to do it, then move on to something else. So like if you've got a garden, send them out. Just encourage them to go out into the garden and do something. Or if you can do something that's a little bit different, what we did this year, or at least during the lockdown, is we were lucky enough to get an allotment just down the road here, which is a place where you can go grow your own vegetables. And so that's a form of exercise. And the kids were picking some spinach today. So you're getting them to do some type of, they walked there, first of all. They did a bit of bending over, a bit of cutting, a bit of digging. They got a bit of a mud kitchen going. And so they're doing some kind of activity outside that's a little bit different to what they usually do. So I would say if you can't get them to do their usual extramural activity, get them to do something else as well. So that's probably the best advice I'd give.
Well, my washing machine broke, and I did hand washing for the first time in a long time. So I'm not washing the next batch of clothes. I found my activity. Rowena, tell us, for yourself, who's inside, and you can't. There's not a lot of movement allowed in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi. What do you do inside for inside activity that gets them a little bit physical and makes them do some physical activity?
Yes, and there are a lot of resources online. If you just Google them, or even if you just look on YouTube, some days we do dance, other days there are yoga type stretches. There are just fun dance parties. There's no set curriculum at home. Just think, what do they do that makes them happy? How can they have fun while they move? And join them. That's really the key to motivate them, because these kids can really get lazy. So doing it with them really encourages them to move.
Yeah.
Leslie, I have to ask this question because I was discussing with my son. You know, you have some kids that they're not, I'm not saying they're not smart. They just, they're not the brightest. Their marks are not the highest. And now they're at home and suddenly they're doing so well. Every assignment, they're just acing. How do you balance between kids actually doing their work and parents taking a second shot in grade 4?
I'm not sure. It happens, and assignments are done better than they've ever been. But there's nothing that we can do, and unfortunately, we've got to take what we get given. Yeah, schools are in discussion with using assignments done now for marks or not. So I guess we'll deal with that conversation when we get back to school.
Okay, when we get back to school, one of the things that's going to happen in South Africa is they've proposed staggering bringing kids back into school and then social distancing them. I don't know. Do you think that's going to be possible, or how is it going to work in schools, especially where they're crowded?
I'm not sure, and I think maybe that's why the department is taking so long to actually put a finalized date, because they in themselves have a lot of infrastructure to fix and schools to help. There are many government schools that have 40 plus learners in a small classroom, where a meter apart from the next person is actually not, it can't be done rather. So it's hard, because majority of our schools are in this type of situation. So how it's going to happen, I'm not entirely sure. How are we going to keep a mask on a kid? Firstly, that's going to be a real struggle, because we can't even get the kids to wear a sun hat at playtime, which is 20 minutes. So wearing a mask for an entire day is going to be another struggle on its own. So basically, I think people just have to be ready to go back to a different type of normal when we get back to school, and we just gonna have to rough it out for a little while, and come to some type of way of healthy living.
Especially with the younger ones, the really young ones with masks. Where's your mask? I can't find my mask. My mask I left in the bathroom. My mask. Anyway, Rowena, just as we're wrapping up, now that you're doing homeschooling in a sense, would you consider doing this for the rest of the year, or are you waiting to send your boys back to school?
Well, in Abu Dhabi at the moment, that's the situation. We will not be returning to school for the rest of the year. Our year ends in June, so the new year starts in September. So that's it for us. And then generally going forward, I think everybody has a different scenario. You have to consider the age of your children, your financial situation, what access you have to the resources, and are you able to communicate with schools? So I think everybody has a different experience of this. For me, they need to go to school.
Yes, I agree with you, Rowena. Clint, now we don't have team sports anymore, and we're not sure when team sports gonna come back. How can we make sure that we keep our kids energetic, keep ourselves energetic, keep ourselves, I suppose, to a degree competitive when there's no one to verse or play against?
Well, luckily I've got 4 kids, as you mentioned, so they can compete against each other. But I think it was Rowena who's saying that get involved with your kids. And I really like that idea. My kids are probably, because our gardens here in this where I live, they're all facing each other. And out of all these houses here, 5 or 6 houses, my kids are out there the most. And I think it's about challenging your kids. So if your kids are not used to being outside, it's going to be quite hard for you to get them into that habit of being outside, right? And some people don't have a big garden. I understand. I used to live in Durban, and it's all hills and whatnot. So I think that where you can, you're going to have to engage with them some more to try and get them into some kind of sport, whether it be just kicking the football around, or doing some kind of running, or something that's going to help them to get excited about a sport that they maybe never tried before. That's probably one thing. Like cycling is a good thing, I think. Kids love cycling, so and it's not always possible. And like in Durban, I know the hills again, but where I live, it's pretty flat. So cycling is a good thing, and kids love it. Skateboarding is something else. So there's skate parks normally I know there's one in Durban in the beachfront. So I think just think outside the box and get engaged with your kids as well, and then just show them. I think showing like them stuff on YouTube maybe of different sports things. Say, what do you think about this and what do you think about that? And also, there's not just that, but what about parkour? What about hand balancing? It doesn't have to be something that's doesn't have to be traditional, right?
You're talking about climbing and jumping. Oh, we don't want broken legs in lockdown. Thank you,
so much
Cliff.
talent. There's so much talent out there. I mean, these you don't know what these kids can do. Even dancing. Dancing it can be a sport, for example. So go and do that. Do something that's a little bit outside the normal football, soccer, or whatever it is. Yeah.
I'm gonna test them with washing clothes and see how it goes. They can do the stamping one. But anyway, I want to thank you all for joining me this evening. This has been COVID Conversations. To all our guests, thank you for your contribution. For those that are watching, parents at home, hope this helps you as you go through this lockdown period and you try and navigate with your kids what's the way forward. And I hope you feel a bit more empowered by our conversation. My name is Carvin Goldstone. From me and all the guests, good night.
Night.